everyone, Heather Cuesta here. This is week 4, assignment 2. We're drawing an imaginary interior scene. Keep in mind that no matter how complicated your interior scenes seem, really they're just a collection of basic shapes. And we learn how to draw basic shapes in 1-point, 2-point, and 3-point perspective the first 3 weeks of class. So if you break down a highly complex imagined scene into its basic shapes, go back and draw each one by one using your guidelines and vanishing points. You should be all set. Now, the specific requirements for this assignment were to demonstrate proper overlapping. That is, each object or piece of furniture in your scene should occupy its own space and should not encroach on the footprint of some other object, because that would be an impossible situation. Draw objects to scale, especially your figure. Draw ellipses in perspective. This is a new skill introduced this week, so review the tutorial if you're unsure how to do this, and I'll also demonstrate during this critique. Finally, this is important, map out your light source and shadow vanishing point. This was absent in a number of these drawings, so make sure to go back and review these tutorials on cast shadows. They're very important. This shows you how to locate the direction and length of your cast shadows, which you'll need for the second part of this assignment as we put in our values and we actually shade in our shadows. You'll want those going in the right direction. Finally, please remember to include your written discussion. This is several points out of your grade, so please be sure to earn full credit. Okay, let's begin now with Jamie. Okay, Jamie, there's lots of good things to say about this drawing. I see lots of imagination. I see this imagined couch and this table here with this cylindrical object sitting on top of it, which was part of the assignment. And I can see you've used your guidelines here to map out how to draw this cylinder shape. Okay, now Jamie, let's just kind of start with this table right now. Okay, I mentioned that each object should occupy its own space on the floor. So you're starting that right here. These front legs of the table are firmly planted on the floor. Now your rear legs here are starting to do something that's impossible. Your rear legs are actually encroaching back into the wall. If you were to extend drop a table leg down that's the same length as these front legs, it's going to stop right about here. And you can see how this, in theory, is back embedded in the wall, which is an impossible situation. So let me just show you this for just a second. Okay, I drew this table based on your front 2 legs and the location of this back wall here. Okay, this line right here that indicates your back wall. If your table were pushed up against the wall and this back leg intersected with the back wall here, your table's only going to be about this wide. And also keep in mind your couch, because the front of your couch here is, in theory, up close and even with the edge of the table here. Your couch is also only going to be about that wide. And you've got this couch encroaching back into the wall the same kind of way. So you'll want to bring your couch out into the room. I would suggest using the template. Map out on the template exactly where the footprint of this couch is going to go. And before you even do that, think of the couch as a rectangular prism. Plot out that rectangular prism and then build up the couch from there. So Jamie, once you do that, you'll need to put a figure in. It's always a good idea to draw a figure next to the door because you kind of have an idea of how tall that figure should be. So that's an option for you to try. After you do that, once you've mastered those skills, you'll want to go back and review your shadow vanishing point technique. But first things first, let's work on getting these objects in believable, natural, 3-dimensional space. So good start here, Jamie. Just keep practicing. Continuing now with Thea. Okay, Thea, very good start here. Lots of imaginative details. Okay, Thea, what I would like to ask you to do is take a look at my comments for Jamie, because my comments for you are actually very similar. This little table here is not quite drawn in 2-point perspective. Without your vanishing points, it's going to be kind of hard for me to map it out for you. But you would draw this table, think of it as a rectangular prism. Just draw a simple rectangular prism first, match it up to all your guidelines and vanishing points. Remember, you're going to start with a leading edge, the edge that's closest to the viewer. It'll probably be somewhere around there. And then you would match up this initial leading corner back to your vanishing points, and then build the rest of your shape off of that. Okay, so okay, Thea, once you work on that basic shape, then a lot more of these things are going to make sense. Again, without your vanishing points, I can't really map out the way some of these things are supposed to go, but just in a general sense, I'll try to explain. Each one of these lines here is going to connect back to the vanishing point. Right now, these are sort of connected evenly. They're sort of evenly spaced along this wall, but these lines here will converge at a single vanishing point somewhere off in the distance, which is probably somewhere off your page. Okay, so they're not quite going to match up evenly. They're going to match up to this vanishing point, which means they're all going to squeeze inward. Okay, your rug here, similar thing is going to go on. Start this rug as if you were drawing a rectangular prism. I can see it's kind of, it's distorted now as if it were starting to be in perspective, but keep those guidelines straight. Again, without the vanishing points, I really can't figure out where all this stuff goes, but you're on the right track here with this rug. Just keep practicing that. Okay, Thea, I paused for a moment and I figured out what's going on with this rug. So if your vanishing points are over here, that's the one on the far left, this one's on the far right. You're going to start with this corner right here, connect this corner back to your vanishing points, figure out how wide you'd like your rug to be, connect it back to your vanishing points, crisscross it the very same way with this corner back here, far left corner going to the far right vanishing point, and that is going to give you your rug in perspective. Now you can see the rug is distorted, but take a look at this distance right here. This distance remains consistent. So this distorted angle here, this edge of the rug, is parallel and consistent with the edge of this wall right here. See that? All these distances are the same right through here. And same thing is going through here. Okay? This is going to widen out slightly in perspective, but for right now it's sort of following this corner of the wall, up in this corner, up in this edge. Okay, so that's what you want. The rug is supposed to look as if it is on the floor there, firmly planted on the floor. Okay, now let's work on some of these lines right here. Okay, again, look at some of these lines, the directions of these lines. These are going to match up to your vanishing points. Okay, they're going to sort of squeeze inward as they reach back to this vanishing point. Okay, so Thea, the things that I would like to ask you to work on is, first and foremost, build out your rectangular prism right here. Once you do that, once you build your rectangular prism so it's accurately planted on the ground right here, not encroaching back into the wall or flattened, it's going to respond back to these two vanishing points, back here and back here. Build it the very same way. Start off this leading edge and then build it from there. Okay, after you do that, once you get these two things down, the rug and the rectangular prism, which is your bookshelf here, then you'll want to add a figure and you'll want to map out your cast shadows. But first things first, let's work on these basic skills first. So good start here, Thea, just keep on practicing. Continuing now with Lisa. Lisa, very nice details in this room. Your cabinet here has dimension. Your window has dimension. It's extending back into the wall, recessed back into the wall. Your couch occupies a believable space. It occupies its own correct footprint based on this template. So good job here. Lots of good things to say about it. Your figure is drawn in a scale that's believable relative to the couch and the other objects in the room. So good start on that. I can see you've drawn this person that's standing on this rug, which is this sort of flattened out ellipse as the circle is distorted back into perspective on your 2-point perspective grid. Now, without your guidelines, I really can't check it too well to figure out whether it's correct. It looks pretty good. It looks as if it should be, but if you leave your guidelines on there, that'd be a big help. Okay, the cast shadows. I can see these cast shadows are giving you a little bit of confusion, and that's understandable. This is kind of new and difficult. Okay, so your shadow vanishing point is going to determine the direction of your shadow that's cast. Okay, so your shadow vanishing point connects up with the bottom of your object. I just connected up with this front foot. So your shadow is going to cast off your figure back that way. And right here, what you've done is you've taken your light source and cast it back this way, and that's what's giving you the confusion. So let's take that off. Okay, your light source here is going to, in theory, connect with the top of your object, the head here. Okay, because it's above the head of your object, and it's going to cast this super, super long shadow that goes way out over there. So if your light source here were sort of a strong directional light casting this light back over the figure's head, it's going to create this extremely long shadow. That looks a little unnatural, so let's see if we can fix that. Okay, we're going to pretend that this light source is, suppose it's a lamp and it's tilted downward a little bit. Say it's tilted something like that, and the light's heading out of this light source in this direction. Okay, it's going to connect up with your shadow vanishing point right around here, and that's going to determine the length of your shadow. Okay, Lisa, I hope that makes sense for you. Please review the tutorials because the location of your light source relative to the shadow vanishing point is the key to plotting out your cast shadows. And also, you'll want to do this very same thing for the couch. You'll want to plot out the location of the cast shadows relative to this light source here. So good start, Lisa. Just keep practicing this shadow vanishing point and you'll be all set. Continuing now with Sean. Sean, this looks very good. I can see that you've challenged yourself by drawing two figures in the room. This figure in the back is significantly smaller as he should be compared to this figure that's up closer to the viewer. So good job on that. You've nicely drawn your ellipse shape here. I suppose you're forming a rug. Everything responds back to this vanishing point as it should. You're in 1-point perspective. So good job on all of that. And your table here, I can see that it also responds back to the vanishing point. It's drawn in 1-point perspective. Okay, Sean, your cast shadows, this is sort of a difficult skill for everyone. First of all, there are two on your templates. You have to choose one or the other. If your light source is back here, your figure is going to be casting a shadow back this direction. You're not going to see a whole lot of the figure's shadow because it's going to be cut off by the edge of this picture plane. This figure back here is not going to be casting a shadow forward at all because this figure is actually up against the wall behind this light source, which is right now it's sort of as if it's a lamp sitting in this back corner of the room. So if anything, this figure is going to cast a shadow back over this direction and probably up onto the wall too. You'll have to plot that out. This table is going to cast a shadow forward. Same kind of thing. You'll use your shadow vanishing point, connect it up with the edges of this table, and then that will help you locate where these cast shadows belong. Okay, now if you choose the other shadow vanishing point and light source, everything's going to go in the other direction. Your light would be coming through this way, your figure's going to cast a shadow back this way. His feet are almost parallel with the shadow vanishing point, so he's going to cast a shadow over there. These legs are going to cast back this way, and this figure then is going to cast a shadow back on this back wall somehow. It would probably be much closer to the figure than I've drawn it right there. Let me take that off. Just because there's sort of a steep angle between the shadow vanishing point match up with his feet, it's going to just cast a little shadow right behind him there on the wall. So, Sean, for part 2, I would like to see you add a little dimension to some of these things here. This table leg, think of each leg as also a rectangular prism. They're just simply a very tall rectangular prism. So think of that, the doorway, same goes for the doorway. Okay, good job everyone. Thank you. I'm going to continue with the rest of the class in another video. Thank you.